Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina, and happy Monday to you all. Thanks so much for coming back and listening to another episode of my podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. And again, happy Monday. Welcome to a new week, and new day full of new opportunities, possibilities, new lessons to learn, just new things to experience. And I hope that you had a great weekend. I hope that it was nice. I hope you had good weather. I hope you had the opportunity to just relax and, catch up on things if you needed to, but also de-stress and just have the best time. I kind of felt like my weekend was part of that, and also like catching up on stuff and getting ready for things that are coming up this week, and there were definitely points where I felt a little bit stressed, but I think if you are aware of that and you're able to tell yourself to take a step back, then at least you know that you're kind of like aware of what is causing you extra stress and what is, kind of bothering you or making you feel overwhelmed. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be stressed at all on the weekend by any means, because a lot of times we do some of the most stressful things on the weekend because we don't have time during the week. But regardless, I digress because I could just go on and on. But I hope that it was a good weekend, and I hope that whatever you needed to get done was done. So again, happy Monday. This week we are going to be talking about the importance of self-care. And as I will go into here shortly, I know that so many people talk about self-care. There's so many, you can literally just go to Pinterest and type in the word self-care and you'll get so much information, whether it's what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what people think about it, and their personal opinions. And I feel like you can't swipe through Instagram without going too far, without hitting someone talking about self-care, honestly, or most of the socials. So, but I wanted to talk about it because I wanted to kind of break it down to be more in depth, like I do with most topics, but also I do find that it is very important to your mental wellness and your general well-being as a person, because it can really help you create personal boundaries, but also it's like the overarching power, or not power, the idea to really push someone to take care of themselves, being telling them self-care is super important, as opposed to just being hey, that getting to bed on time, or make sure you have enough sleep, or exercising, or taking the time to journal if you really enjoy doing that is really important to your health. I feel like just wrapping it up in a bow and saying self-care is actually a lot easier for people to accept and understand. And you know what? And I also, to be honest with you, you may disagree, but I believe self-care is one of those things that a lot of people believe is not important, is unnecessary, and people might think that it is selfish. So I just want to kind of break through those barriers people are putting up in their mind in regards to self-care and what they think it is, and to give you my personal opinion as well as information based on research that I've done, and just kind of give you an insight to what I think self-care is and why it is super important. So today, Monday, we're going to talk about what self-care is and is not. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Self-care is talked about all the time, and I understand how it can be something that is talked about way too much, but I honestly think that sometimes people don't fully understand the point of it and how to actually execute giving it to yourself. So that's what we are going to talk about this week. We're definitely going to dive deep into it, and maybe even deeper than most articles, social media posts, whatever, or blog posts really talk about. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper. A lot of people think that self-care can be considered an excuse for laziness, super selfish, a luxury, or unnecessary in general. But I'm here to tell you that I believe all these opinions are misguided and or wrong. It's tough because I understand the viewpoint of them thinking that it's laziness, because some people's versions of self-care, and yeah, it's going to be different for everyone, is, taking the time out to watch the shows that you don't normally watch. You might binge a couple episodes of your of a show that you've been really interested in, or a show that you used to watch a lot on whatever streaming service. Or you might decide to take naps. That's definitely something that's part of my personal self-care routine, is taking naps, because they are very beneficial to me, especially when I am super overwhelmed and stressed. And so people might consider that laziness, or maybe you're just deciding not to do something because you don't feel like it's best for you, and that's part of your self-care, and then that's why people will label it lazy. Super selfish, because self-care is all about you. It's all about taking care of yourself. And and I feel like it's easy for people to label it as selfish, because if you are, let's see, how do I want to explain this? Because if you are constantly talking about, integrating self-care into your life, and, and what you do for self-care, and if they don't necessarily see you doing things for other people, they might think that you're all just about yourself, and then will brand it selfish, as well as a luxury or unnecessary. So some people find that self-care is unnecessary because they don't think that you need to take breaks for yourself. You don't need to prioritize your needs, your mental, your physical, your emotional needs at all. Also, they might think it's a luxury because, a lot of people, despite what they're going through in life, might not think it's important enough, or that it is a luxury, meaning that they don't believe that they can make the time to integrate self-care into their life, but it's only because they haven't stepped back and evaluated what could be taken out of their life and insert self-care there, because maybe there's a bunch of filler that you don't even realize is filler until you take a step back to really evaluate what your whole life is about and what is filling it up. And self-care will be different for everyone, but the main point to understand is that self-care is just simply taking the time to take care of yourself. And that's simple. I know. I understand. And it's super important to take the time to support and improve yourself on a regular basis. It's about listening to your body and mind and doing what will help you function the best. And yes, again, everyone is different, and you are the only one that will know what is best for you. So you have to listen to your body and mind and do the work yourself. And that's like one of the points that I want to bring up, like with all the misguided opinions about self-care, thinking that it's selfish and it's a luxury and that it's laziness. It's not, because you are the only person that can do it. You can't expect someone else to take the time to pamper you and take care of you and check in on, your body, your mind, your spirit, and make sure everything is in order. No, you have to do it yourself. You have to make the decision to take the nap. You have to make the decision to want to watch those TV shows and decompress and not think about work, not think about your super stressful job that just like kind of drives you over the edge. No, you want to actually, decide to take a break. You want to go on walks. You want to prioritize your exercise time. You want to journal, meditate. You want to take a bubble bath. Whatever it is that you want to do, you have to do it, because you are the only person that can do it. And it is super important to do it on a regular basis. And whatever that regular basis for you, again, that is going to be different for every single person. But I would say that for me personally, I like to do that kind of stuff like once a week. Maybe someone else, that would be like once a month. And honestly, in my opinion, I believe that you should do it at least once a month and not let it stream out further. Like, I'm not saying you have to necessarily do every single self-care activity that you enjoy every single month, but maybe if you want to cycle through different things, like you're like, okay, well, this month I'm going to decide to take a walk, I'm going to decide to go on this really big hike with my dog, and that's going to be what I'm going to do. And then next month I'm going to go to the spa, and then next month I am going to go to a concert or go to this festival or whatever it may be. And or if you want to do that on a weekly basis, that's fine. Maybe you will be able to find a way to incorporate these things into a daily basis. So let's say that one day let's say if you want to incorporate 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is into your day. And if you're able to schedule it into your day, then I think, why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that? So maybe, Mondays are facial days, Tuesdays are Netflix days, Wednesdays are workout days, and maybe Fridays are workout days too, and Thursdays are days where you read or go to the library, or maybe you want to window shop, like whatever it is, you make that decision, and it has to be on some sort of regular basis. It can't just be sporadic and here and there. You have to make it an important part of your daily or regular routine. And let's chat about a few misconceptions of self-care. Firstly, it doesn't have to be expensive. Self-care doesn't have to be a spa day or going on a shopping spree or spending money at all. If you want to do any of those things, please do them, please, because it's all about what is best for you. But if you don't have a desire to do that, then don't. It could easily just be taking time alone at home. And I did mention spa days and I did mention window shopping and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be expensive. I feel like people will, one of the most grandiose examples of self-care is going to the spa or whatever and getting your nails done or getting your hair done. And maybe that is part of your self-care, and you shouldn't feel guilty about that. You shouldn't feel bad about that. It's fine. But don't feel guilty or bad if you don't necessarily have the resources or the finances to do that. It's fine. Maybe you decide to do your own version of it at home, and that's just as good because maybe you prefer to do it at home. Maybe you don't like people touching your toes and your hands and your face. Maybe you'll just order face masks off the internet, or maybe you'll do some DIY and make some at home. Maybe you'll paint your own nails. Maybe you will create a steam bath and do your own facial. That's totally fine. It doesn't, maybe if you prefer self-care to be involved with your workout and your fitness, but you can't afford to go to the gym or you don't like going to the gym, maybe that you'll just get programs online and stream them on your TV or on your computer or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Self-care does not have to be expensive. It doesn't have to include money at all whatsoever. If what you enjoy is something that you can do at home, or maybe take a walk around your neighborhood or whatever it is, and you can find ways to not have to purchase anything, then by all means do it, okay? It's not an end all be all, spend money or it doesn't mean anything at all. That's just not true at all. Next, self-care isn't about spoiling yourself or overindulging in something. You have the right to do these things, absolutely. But by eating tons of food you shouldn't be based on your own personal goals, or spending tons of time binge watching TV, or sleeping all day multiple days in a row and calling that self-care, sounds more like finding an excuse to cover all that stuff rather than taking care of yourself. And it's fine. It's fine to do these things once in a while, but if those behaviors do not align with your life, you might need to check yourself. So, like I had mentioned at the beginning, maybe you do want to take some time to binge watch some of your favorite shows, or maybe you do want to have maybe you're on a very strict diet or eating regimen or whatever you want to call it. It's not necessarily a diet. Maybe you just have a lifestyle of eating very whole foods, very clean. That's fine. That's great. That's amazing. But maybe you decide that, I'm going to eat pizza and or get a burger, or you're just going to do whatever you can because you shouldn't feel any shame or guilt in doing that. I would say that the fine line there is that if you're doing it all the time, there's going to be something else in there that needs to be figured out, because self-care shouldn't be used as an excuse and just slapped on everything you're doing. You're the reason that I don't get up before 11 a.m. is because of self-care, or the reason why I let myself eat whatever I want all the time is because of self-care, or I don't exercise because it's just too hard, and that's self-care. There's a line there, and I know that some people might not agree. They might think no, me binge watching my show all day long, days on end, is my own self-care. And we can agree to disagree on that, because self-care isn't necessarily spoiling or indulging in something, overindulging in it. And you can feel like you're spoiling yourself if you are taking that spa day every month or every couple months or whenever it is, or you can feel like you're spoiling yourself if you're going to do some window shopping or go to that really nice yoga studio or whatever it is. But that is not necessary. That's not doing that. It's different. I hope that you can see the difference in that. You're not just slapping an excuse and knowing deep down that you are not necessarily doing the right thing. Okay? That's the difference here. You can't just use self-care as an excuse to do whatever you want. You need to actually actively be doing things that are bettering your wellness on the regular. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that makes sense. And lastly, self-care isn't selfish. I know we all have heard that if we can't take proper care of ourselves, we aren't able to take care of others properly. And it's true. You have to take the time to care for yourself, or you end up burning out or falling apart at some point and be no good to others or yourself. You have to. And self-care is not selfish, because at some point, if you don't take the time, and I realize that I'm just now reiterating my point again and again, but I have to, because I feel like this is the most common one, the most common misconception of what people think self-care is and what it actually isn't. It's not selfish, because if you are spending all your time, working hard at your job, taking care of your friends and family, caring for your pets, volunteering, all this stuff, but you don't take a moment, you don't take a day where you're like, okay, I'm going to do something that makes me happy. I'm going to do something that will make me feel better at the end. I'm going to do something that's going to continue to push me to become the best self that I can be. If you're not doing those things, you will burn out, you will fall apart, you will just become like, you'll feel like you're just empty and lost and just deflated. You're not going to be able to continually do your best work at your job, or help or be the best volunteer you can be, or, continue to better yourself, or, be the best parent or spouse or friend. You're just not. There's going to come a breaking point where you're just going to be like, nope, I am totally empty, because you haven't taken the time to fill yourself up. You have to take the time to fill yourself up. No one else is going to do it. I already mentioned that. No one, and they're not. And there might become circumstances in your life where people will try to come by and try to help you and try to be responsible for your feelings and how you're doing in your life. But that is very inappropriate, as I've talked about in previous weeks' episodes. Because no one is responsible for anyone else's feelings, and that won't last long either, because that person that's doing that will burn out as well, and as soon as that person's gone, then you really are by yourself. So you are absolutely responsible for taking care of yourself. So even if people in your life, if you do want to start administering your own self-care and helping yourself and actually taking the time to take care of yourself, but other people are calling it selfish, and that is the thing that is holding you back from caring for yourself, you have to push past it. You have to ignore it. You have to tell yourself that that's not true, because it's not. It's absolutely not true. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. And if you want to continue doing whatever it is you are doing in your life, you have to take care of yourself, even at the bare minimum, okay? And I'm talking once a month. That's one out of every 31 days, where if you at least take a day or half a day to do something you really enjoy that will better you, strengthen you, then you're on your way. I encourage you to do it more, but if all you can do right now is one day a month, then so be it. That one day a month will definitely help you to continue to carry on for at least a while. Or maybe that's the threshold that you need to meet to continue to keep running your life the way that you want to. So that's that. Self-care is not selfish. And if anyone tells you that it is, please know that they're wrong. And they are not necessarily a bad person. They're just misinformed and misguided, and they need to take the time to really look into what it is. And chances are, if someone is saying that it's selfish, they are also not adding that into their own lives. And who knows for why? Maybe they're getting that same excuse. Maybe they've gotten that same mindset from someone else. And I think that's what it is. I think it's just the incorrect mindset is being passed around, and we all need to change, admit that we are wrong, change, start administering self-care, start becoming our best self even quicker and better and stronger, and then move on with our lives. Just keep on keeping on, Add self-care. It's okay. It's not selfish. It's cool. It's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and end the episode right here. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Again, happy Monday. And I really hope that you come back for the rest of the week where we are talking about the importance of self-care. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did and you know someone else that would, please, I encourage you to share it with them. Also, please check the description box for any notes for the show. Also, where you can find me on Instagram, my website, and my email address where you can freely send me any questions, comments, concerns, or prayer requests. But until next time, I hope that I have a great one, and I will see you next time. Bye.